So at the end of the day, it's about building a team, and I don't mind sharing the wealth and sharing what I have with another group as long as everybody, brings something to the table.
Yeah.
And you want peace of mind at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you want to be working all these crazy hours and all that. I enjoy my quality of life. I work my ass off, but I also enjoy myself as well.
Yeah, and that's what I'm noticing from your stories too. I'm like, this guy has a good time, man.
Yeah,
He's
100%. I wouldn't be in what I'm doing if I wasn't having a good time.
exactly. I
Yeah.
would like think about that. There's got to be a balance, right?
Yeah.
Like where you're like, hey, I'm not the guy that's tied to the stove, you know?
Yeah.
I think about that when my brother will mention starting a restaurant, and I'm like, another reason why I reached out to you because I want to know more about this world in general. Like, do you have advice that you would give that younger version of you? That was like, let's say, back early 20s, late 20s, where you're like, hey, man, do this. Don't do this. What would that be?
Yeah, just do your research.
Yeah.
Understand the market, understand what you're doing, understand who your competition is, and just really build it from the ground up. You're going to make mistakes along the way. Don't let that detour you into giving up or quitting. Because it's going to happen. And for a fact, it's going to happen. Nobody has smooth sailing, and you just got to keep pushing. And there's always going to be situations and issues coming along, but it's how you deal with them that makes you successful.
True. Yeah. So where did this grit come from? Is that dad as well, or is that mom?
100%. I think it comes from both. Mostly dad, but my mom is pretty stubborn as well. So I think I get it from both of my parents. My mom humbles me a little bit more. My dad's a little more of a lion when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So I think I get a little bit from both of them.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to college, okay?
Okay.
Because I want a better understanding of you and how you got to this point. So you're in college at Boston. You went into your trip. And when you got back from that trip, your mom's like, hey, man, what the fuck? Why aren't you going to class? You're like,
yeah. So she
done.
didn't even talk to me when we were in Paris. I went with
Seriously?
she was super pissed off. So
Oh,
they basically,
shit.
they grabbed all my credit cards and they cut them. And they're
God.
like, they sold my car and they're like, here is the keys to the house. And if you want anything else, you figure it out yourself.
So that was
And that was a transition of like 6 months. I ended up becoming like a nightclub promoter. So I was doing that for like 6 months, like going out. So I could still come home. And then one day I got in a fight and I left my house and I ended up going. I was a bar back at Porcao. It's just like this old Brazilian restaurant that used to be at the Four Ambassadors. But I could only make money to pay for my rent because I had to live in Brickell because
Right.
my lifestyle was used to living in Brickell. I
Hey,
wasn't
I
going
get
to
it.
move to Kendall. This was like Brickell back in the day when Brickell didn't exist. And my rent was so expensive that all the money I made literally was to pay the rent. So obviously, I think like 3 months later, I came back home and I apologized. I'm like, I'm going to finish school and I'm going to do what I have to do. So that's when I ended up going to Le Cordon Bleu. I ended up graduating as a chef from there. And then that's kind of I found my way.
Where's Cordon Bleu?
Le Cordon Bleu is a high-end cooking school. They have one here up north in Florida.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, going there, obviously, now you're now intertwined with the culinary world now.
Yeah.
Okay. How did this school kind of like transform you? Or you?
It didn't. I was such a bad chef at the school, but I knew how to micromanage people into doing everything that I wanted. So
Smart man.
I became like the team leader,
Yeah.
but I would have the guy that like, cooked the onions really well and the other one that was like the really good like pastries. So I kind of started like putting people together to kind of like do the job in our class, and our team would always win. So I realized that I had a talent for like convincing people to do things. And it kind of started there, and I just started developing a palate for stuff. I think that had a lot to do with me traveling and being in so many cultures when I was young. Miami and then Mexico, and then going to Boston and Spain as well. And my mom always had people over, so she would having us try wine. Like at 12 years old, like not drinking, but having sips and stuff like that.
I'm not
And I
judging.
think I've just developed a really good palate over the last couple of years. So I know what I want, even if I can't execute it. I will find the person that can execute it until I get it the way I want it.
Yeah, there's a great book about that. It's called Who Not How.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're not trying to figure out how to do something. You're
Yeah.
trying to find the person who can do it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So that was you in college. So culinary schools where kind of you learned how to more of like kind of like micromanage.
Yeah, and you kind of understand, the job, in hospitality, there's so many moving parts to it, from front of house, back of house, dishwashers, delivery people, managers, assistants. You're dealing with people at the end of the day, right? So it's really about managing, relationships, people, and people understanding. I think I do lead by example. When we opened up our first store here in Chevron, Miami, I mean, it was me and my wife for the first 6 months, every single day, from 8 in the morning until 6 o'clock, washing the dishes, mopping the floor. Like, we did it all. So And anytime that our restaurant needs help or needs me to jump back into the kitchen, like I'll do it. You got to show them that you're willing to put in the work. Now, thank God, it's been 4 years and I've been able to build a team, and now my focus is more on really scaling our brand on a bigger level right now. So I have to empower my team, and have them grow within my company in order, for them to be successful and to be able to take care of their families as well.
I think it's very important what you just talked about with your wife being there with you while you were at that stage.
Yeah.
That is
I wanted to go back. We got to the point where I was like, you know what, we're not going to make it. And she's like, fuck that. You told me, excuse the language. She's like, you told me to move to Miami. You moved me here with my daughter. And now you spent all our money from the sale. And now you want to go back? She's like, absolutely not. So yeah, she kind of like slapped me into reality. And she's the one that, so they always say like a great man always needs a great woman.
That's a fact.
So, yeah.
No, I mean, there's no truer words to ever be said, to be honest with you. Like, so you were, at this point, when you first went in, you already had a young girl. You had a wife.
Yeah, we had a COVID baby, so she was born during literally like right when the pandemic hit. We were having a baby in the hospital, and that was a whole entire experience. I ended up getting COVID as well, really bad. I almost died from pneumonia. So I was like one of the people that people said COVID wasn't real. I'm like, no, let me tell you guys, it was real because I almost died. So it was like a real thing. So all these crazy experiences happened, and we ended up coming here, and yeah, we kind of figured it out.
Hey, I gotta say though, you've had one of those lives where it's like you're like, hey, but did I die? You're like, no, I made it, and it was a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
It's cool.
I remember calling my business partner because we had to put like capital into the company, and like literally like wearing a mask, and they had the machine that actually blows oxygen because I couldn't breathe by myself.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, what are you doing calling me right now? I'm like, no, we had the conference call. I was like, I got COVID. I'm here in the hospital. Because the doctor said, like, no, just stay at home and you'll be fine. And every day I kept feeling worse and worse and worse until I literally couldn't breathe anymore. And like my wife had to pick me up and take me to the hospital. It was nuts.
So you had like that one strain that was like really eating away.
Really bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Really bad.
I actually want to talk about COVID because, and you had said it earlier, but I really want to delve into this because I thought this was like the coolest shift ever. The fact that you had sent people the wine and cheese boxes.
So I started pre-marketing our brand like 3 months before moving to Miami.
Yeah.
And I was driving people nuts because I was targeting. So I started posting through Lifestyle Miami, which is one of like the biggest social media pages in Miami.
Still is.
It still is.
Yeah.
And I started blowing the videos that I knew were viral, and I would put in like $300 into ad spend. And then people were just going crazy. Like, where is this? Where is this opening? What's going on? And I started announcing to people, because I was also promoting my Chevre brand in Panama. So I was like, oh, but this guy's promoting in Miami. Where are we getting all these videos if this guy's restaurant's in Panama? But I knew kind of what I was doing because I knew at some point I was going to open. I didn't know it was going to take me almost a year and a half to open. So when we ended up coming here and people were like, started messaging me like, dude, like, are you serious? We need this sandwich. Like, when people want food and they see something they like and you don't give it to them, they get really cranky and really pissed off. It's pretty crazy. Like, I've gotten insulted and told a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. And we ended up, so I said, you know what? I called one of my really good friends here and I told her, hey, I need you to help me out. I want to do this online Zoom class. I did it in Panama in the pandemic and it was super successful. So if it was successful here, let's do it in Miami.
Yeah.
And we ended up sending everybody these cheese boxes with 2 bottles of wine, 5 cheeses, and we do a 1-hour class on Zoom. We started off with about 10 people, ended up growing to over 200 plus people. And this is, mind you, when people were freaking out about, I don't want to be next to this guy because if I touch him, I'm going to get COVID. And my whole experience happened. So I was kind of like, laying back a little bit. And it went off viral. Like, we started getting 10 people, then 15 people, then 20 people. And the craziest thing that after the class, which was an hour, people would stay on drinking for like 4 hours on Zoom. Like, just what else do you have in your bar? And they were like popping up bottles of like Brickell and just going like crazy. The last class that we had, that's when we ended up like shutting it down. Is this guy invited us over to his house and we all went to go, like people that just met on the live on the Zoom after the class, they all went to go. It was like about 50, 60 of us that ended up going to his house.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So again, all these things they were telling me like, you got something.
Yes.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different than in any other restaurant because it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I knew I had something and I just kept building off of that.
I'm curious how you get into cheese in general when it comes to like knowing cheese. Like how did you know you had like a taste?
Had no idea about cheese. No idea. So basically when we ended up opening up in Panama, we had to register all the cheeses for like the FDA of Panama, like the health inspector's government. And the guy that was supposed to come in and do the training was freaked out about the pandemic, and he didn't want to get on a plane and travel. So I was like, well, I kind of have to understand what's going on. And so I started doing my research and watching videos, and I basically kind of learned on the go.
So cheese was taught to you through videos.
Through videos, and obviously this guy would teach me a lot about the cheese, even like purchasing the cheese from like the different vendors and stuff like that. Then they start selling me on the cheeses, so I was like, you know what, I only want the best cheeses, only the ones that have won gold medals and world championship. Those are the ones I'm interested in.
Okay.
So then it became like a thing in my mind where like, and you see all my videos, like Mario's always selling the best olive oil, the best cheese, and I tell people because it's true, like I actually look for the best of the best, and that's kind of like my thing.
So okay, give me a breakdown of that in general, like your process for finding. Is it you have vendors that are like, hey, this guy in Miami, now he's really only doing superior meats, cuts of cheeses?
Correct. So okay. I went to a lot of like trade shows, like fancy food shows. So they do one in Vegas and one in New York every year. You basically go and imagine like a massive hall where you visit different vendors and you just basically start like trying and testing everything. Yeah. Some brands are just, they're award winners. So like they're actually really good. And some other ones are just, I enjoy them. So I basically, the whole pantry at Chevy, I built it with stuff that I would carry in my house and that I personally enjoy.
Huh. I actually have a buddy who follows you as well, but he sells premium cuts of meats. And I saw that you do meats as well. You were actually Wagyu, stuff like that. Obviously,
so I'm getting into the meat game now.
Yeah. Okay, tell me about that.
It's called prime cuts. I've always had meats in my shop, but it's always represented such a minimum part of my sales. And I've kind of seen what the rest of the competition's kind of been doing here, and now it's to the point where I'm gonna open up so many more locations for the Chevrolet brand that I kind of wanted to do my own thing. But not only because you always have like the meat guys that do like the Australian Wagyu, right? And they all do all Wagyu. And then you have like the Grazianos, which does like the Argentinian beef.
True.
And then you have the guys like Meat by Lynn's and all Snake River Farms that do like all the American meats. I'm like, why can't we get the best meats from all around the world? So I'm basically doing Japanese Wagyu, I'm doing Australian, I'm doing Argentinian. So I'm getting like the best cuts from every country, and that's how I'm building the brand of Prime Cuts.